hometown, he started a trust fund for the families of political prisoners and a fund to help young blacks get education.
One thing that I think was very important in his drive with about everything that he handled is that he was a man who liked challenges. He would take on any challenge, anything that one would see as perhaps too difficult or perhaps, bit much more advanced than can be expected of his capability. That's the one thing that he'd want to take on just to prove that he can make it.
This clinic just outside King Williamstown is a monument to Biko's work. As a would-be doctor, he knew about the need for health care, but he also saw the clinic, which he created, as a practical way of developing self-reliance. The clinic has been open for 2 years. Despite its success, the government eventually banned Biko from having anything to do with it. Today, the clinic has to buy drugs on the commercial market for TB and for immunisation, drugs normally available free in South Africa. Nowhere was Biko's influence more felt than in the new movement of black consciousness, or the pride in being black. Steve Biko was one of the founders of the BPC, the Black People's Convention, in 1972. This movement dedicates itself to the overthrow of apartheid by non-violent means. Many of its members have been persecuted, detained or forced into exile. The current president is Kenneth Rashidi.
Is there any hope of a non-violent, non-racist future for South Africa?
Right now, what I can say, from my personal point of view, is that the ball is definitely with the government. Black people still accept, and they accept our weight, that black and white people are here to stay together. But our main worry in our positions, in trying to promote this kind of non-racial society, is that the government is clamping on the black people harder than ever. And this is becoming, it may become difficult in future for us to convince the black people that the real issue is that black and white must live together here. But we are up to trying our best to let people realize that. We understand and appreciate the problems that the government is facing. Anybody who is in power does not want to relinquish power, despite the fact that he realizes that he's a minority group. They call us racists when they are racist and they are in the minority, but they want to rule us, which is, to me, it's a social ethic which can't be accepted anywhere. Our organization is not anti-white. We are just purely pro-black. Our intention is that the black man has got to be on his own to solve his problems. The black man can't solve his problems with a man that is oppressing him. He's got to be on his own, and we've got to be unified, we've got to be solidified, so that we can face our problems. And that is what the government is fearing, because this is gaining momentum, and we are marching towards the total unity of the black men in South Africa.
Biko himself was detained by the security police 4 times, but such actions didn't stop King Williamstown becoming the centre of black radicalism. By coincidence, only last year, World in Action, in documenting the political repression of blacks after the June riots, highlighted the case of a detainee who was a friend and associate of Biko's and was, like him, restricted to King Williamstown. Mapetlo Muhapi allegedly hanged himself with 2 pairs of jeans while in custody. Last year, his widow spoke to us.
What happened to the 2 doctors? Your 2 doctors have been present at that post-mortem.
They are both detained at the present moment under Internal Act, this Internal Security Act.
What was the date of the post-mortem?
The date of the post-mortem was the 6th.
So he died on the 5th of August, the post-mortem was on the 6th of August.
Then on the 13th of August, the first doctor was detained.
And when was the second doctor detained?
The second doctor was detained on the 29th. He was one of the speakers at the funeral.
A year after the event, there's still no satisfactory explanation of how Mapetlo Muhapi came to die. People detained by the security police have no contact with the outside world and are at the mercy of their custodians. Mrs. Hanole Muhapi was herself detained in August about the same time as Steve Biko. No one knows where she is.
When something like this happens, they don't find it to be very funny because it has been happening for a long, long time. And this is the pattern. I mean, You can realize that if Mohapi died last year and his wife now is in detention, you can imagine where the kids are. But I mean, they're all right. Black people are with them.
We were able to trace the Mohapi children in the township, 2 little girls, Konedi, aged 2, and Motebo, aged 4. With their father dead and their mother detained, they were being looked after by neighbours. It was for circumstances like these that Biko set up the trust fund for political prisoners.
I think that the state, the Nationalist Party government, is crazed with fear of blacks. After nearly 30 years of exploiting racial prejudice by a white minority, they're now caught up in the web of their own bigotry and fear.
How has his death affected you personally?
Well, it's now nearly 2 weeks since we had the news, and it's still extremely hard to believe that this has happened. Personally, it seems hard to accept that we won't see him again. And frankly, I don't know when all the activity of trying to find out who is responsible for it is over, when the inquest is over, and such prosecutions as follow, according to what's indicated by the inquest, I frankly don't know how my wife and I are going to adjust after that. At the moment, we kept very busy with involvement in this process. But after that, we'll have to face up to the fact that he isn't there for us to see anymore.
This is the younger of Steve Biko's 2 sons, Samora, aged 2. He was born on August the 15th, 1975. He never had a first birthday party because on August the 15th, 1976, his father's friend, Mapetlu Mohapi, was buried. His father was there for his second birthday, but 3 days later he was detained and never returned. Samora still runs to the telephone expecting to hear his father's voice. Samora's mother and Steve Biko's widow is Mrs. Nsiki Biko.
Well, even if he was on hunger strike, I don't think it would have killed him. Yes, especially, you know, quoting the number of days they say he was refusing food. I don't think that would have killed him. Unless they were giving him bad food. I know he doesn't like bad food, of course. But I don't think that would have killed him.
Was he a strong man?
Very much strong, healthy. He was never ill, you know, seriously, except for one illness. He had some pneumonia. And after that, he was just strong. He has been a strong man, really.
With so many people dead or in detention, do you ever feel like giving up?
Well, we do expect, you know, during a struggle, obviously, we expect anything, you know, anything can happen. But I just can't understand why people, you know, are not brought before court if they are found guilty or they are charged. Because, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, these detentions and, you know, banning orders, they don't mean anything. I mean, if a man is found guilty or if a man, they find that the man is guilty of some offense, he must be brought before a court of law.
This is a list of the 45 people who've died in custody since detention without trial was introduced in 1963.